Well, this is it. The big one. One of the most talked about and most controversial Batman stories of all time. I am, of course, referring to All Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder. It's a book that I hear talked about a lot and criticized so much. One of the big reasonings is that you have characters acting almost like borderline parodies of themselves, wrapped up in like this nonsensical plot. Uh, what? What the hell?
Shut up. I'll do the talking here.
Who the hell are you giving out orders like that?
What are you, dense? Are you retarded or something? Who the hell do you think I am? I'm the goddamn Batman.
Well, what do you want?
I'll tell you. I'm tired of people talking trash on this book. You're gonna give it a fair shake.
Fair? Of course I'm gonna be fair.
Shut up. I already know what you're gonna do. You're gonna regurgitate all the same talking points that everybody does. Oh, the Batman's out of character. But the art is good.
Uh, no.
Well then, why don't you begin? But if you say something stupid, I'm gonna break your goddamn neck.
Why don't we start with some history? So, All-Star Batman and Robin is part of the All-Star Comics imprint of DC that ran from 2005 to 2008. This is one of the two titles under this imprint, with the other being All-Star Superman, which, unlike the topic of today's discussion, was met with praise from critics and readers. This is also an out-of-continuity story that seeks to try and reinvigorate Batman with a modern take, much like Marvel Comics' Ultimate line. But, as previously stated, critical reception of this book was negative, with most of the complaints directed at Frank Miller's writing and non-traditional interpretation of the character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this discussion down into segments, looking at story, characters, and then giving my own interpretation of the story. So yeah, story. And the story begins with not the origin of Batman, but rather Dick Grayson, who witnesses the murder of his parents. At this point, Bruce Wayne, at the same time, is at the circus while on a date with Vicky Vale. Soon after, Bruce suits up as Batman and saves Dick Grayson from crooked police officers trying to kill him. And this is where the story truly gets going, as the main focus of the book is on the preparation of changing Dick Grayson into the Boy Wonder Robin, with some questionable methods like locking Dick in the Batcave, leaving rats as his only food source, calling him many names and putting him down at almost every turn, and at times physically beating him. And also, what would a Batman book be without crime fighting, where during, we follow Batman heading out, beating criminals within inches of their life in an attempt to either thwart attacks or getting information on the man who killed Dick's parents, coming across many characters, including Black Canary, Green Lantern, leading to Batman and Black Canary oddly getting busy after Batman lit a bunch of criminals on fire, and a showdown with Green Lantern, which ends up being a big turning point with both the title characters. And alongside Green Lantern, there's also an early rendition of the Justice League comprising of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Plastic Man, with their main goal trying to get Batman under control. Or in Wonder Woman's case, just kill him. So now that we've had a chance to get an idea of the general story, let's go ahead and look at the characters. One of the biggest points of contention with critics and fans is how some of the characters are handled. Black Canary, to start, who in main continuity is a strong independent crime fighter who takes crap from no one, which she's still kind of there with some changing elements, as in this book she is now a bartender with a fuse that eventually bursts, where she then takes her aggression on the streets and eventually Batman sheets. Also absent is her famous Canary cry, which, given the differences, makes her come across as almost a different character who only shares looks in the name. Batman within this story is portrayed to be a darker, grittier interpretation, having a Dirty Harry styled approach, with even Robin saying that Batman was trying to copy Clint Eastwood's voice. Yet he still maintains a high level of intelligence, having deduced the identities of the other heroes, knowing Superman can fly before even Superman does, being aware of Green Lantern's weakness to the color yellow. He's also constantly laughing at the pain he inflicts on criminals, often taking pleasure in it. And other times, particularly in his thought boxes, he does have a bit of vulnerability to him and often questions his own morality, like if what he's doing is going too far, both in the crime fighting aspects and the treatment of Dick Grayson. Robin himself, like Batman, is portrayed in a more bratty way, often having dialogue where he is consistently insulting the Dark Knight until he makes his transformation into Robin, where their dialogue and mannerisms are made to more play off each other. And his story really reaches its climax when he is helping Batman with the handling of Green Lantern, where he ends up not just fighting the Green Lantern, but nearly killing the Emerald Knight. As previously stated, the Justice League make an appearance with Superman coming across as someone who also has some anger issues, even depicting a seemingly angry but rewarding relationship with Wonder Woman. However, Plastic Man feels pretty in character, along with Hal, with Plastic Man having his joking mannerisms and Hal coming across as altruistic and hopeful with a little bit of naivety. Alfred Pennyworth, of course, is naturally in this book and is another character that tends to serve his primary function of being Batman's conscience, as he tries to take care of Bruce, take care of Dick, and even tells Batman when he believes he's going too far and needs to consider a different path. Also featured in the story are other Batman mainstays such as Jim and Barbara Gordon, Catwoman, and the Joker, with them not being as well fleshed out due to the length and incompleteness of the book, ultimately coming across as standard interpretations. And it's often easy to see what readers have against this interpretation of Batman, as he reads nothing like a traditional Batman, nor even in, say, a campy 66 version of the character, making him unrecognizable, unrelatable, and worst of all, kind of unlikable.
Now what did I say? What did I tell you? You think you could disobey the goddamn Batman?
Wait. I'm not done. Please let me finish my thoughts.
Make it good.
And after reading through this entire book and having time to reflect, I've reached the inescapable conclusion that I rather enjoyed it. From start to finish, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I laughed out loud at the absurdity in this book. From Batman constantly laughing at the mayhem he caused, to getting freaky with Black Canary after torching some guys, how he conversed with Robin and vice versa, like trying to impress Dick with his tech only to have Dick be mildly intrigued and also running a gag with both Dick and Black Canary thinking the name Batmobile is queer. These kinds of things I feel were explicitly deliberate, and I would love to pick Frank Miller's brain about why he made some of these choices. I can also see what Frank Miller may have been trying to accomplish with starting with a more brutal Batman, as the story really feels like it's about Batman trying to make Robin a duplicate or better version of himself, but when Robin nearly kills Hal, he has to come to terms with the reality that he almost turned Robin into a murderer by treating him awful and not allowing him to mourn the death of his parents. Which this all culminates in the last few pages with Batman taking Robin to his parents' grave, where the two embrace in a hug, mourning lives lost, including their own. And I think this is a very touching moment, which is a brilliant way to end the book. Unfortunately, we'll never know what shape or route the story may have taken, as it was heavily delayed, with one more issue eventually being released and added to the trade and released under the title Absolute All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder. This additional story featured Jim passing on a message to Batman, who comes across a battered Catwoman, along with Barbara's first time out as Batgirl and the return of the Black Canary. It also allowed us to see there was some character growth for both Batman and Robin, feeling more like he should by no longer insulting Robin and Robin following Batman's lead. However, this story sadly ends with it to be continued, which is a far less satisfying ending than the standard trade, as the story points will most likely never be resolved. There was also a planned sequel in the works, but it never saw the light of day, leaving me to wonder where Miller would have taken Batman and company had he continued. I, of course, can't exclude to talk about the amazing art in this book by Jim Lee, which I think is some of his best work, creating many images that I would love to have blown up into posters. In the end, I think that All-Star Batman and Robin, although not a great book, is a bit of a misunderstood one, and that if you go into it not expecting a traditional Batman and just ready to embrace the insanity and the craziness that it has to offer with this interpretation of the character, there might be something for you, at least in the way of entertainment. Not to mention, for me, the ending specifically kind of choked me up a bit, as we saw Batman embracing his surrogate son, essentially, in what I would call a rather beautiful moment. Are you crying?
No, the goddamn Batman sheds tears for no one.
Ah, you're just a big softy, aren't you? Do you want to do the outro?
You know what? Sure. You've touched my heart on a deep level with your honest review. So All-Star Batman and Robin, what did you think about this book? Did you find any kind of entertainment in it at all? Or are your thoughts of the general consensus that it's straight trash? Choose your answers carefully. And if you like this video, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe if you're not already, or face justice.
And as always, stay geeky.